The year was 1985. Following the release of her second album, Like a Virgin, the year before, Madonna embarked on her first North American tour. 2 months later, Penthouse and Playboy magazines published nude photos of the singer from her time as an art model in the late 70s. And as though the public hadn't seen enough of her already, Madonna's first starring vehicle was also released in theaters the same year. But Rian never saw it. Until now. This is Movies I Missed 1985, Episode 2, Desperately Seeking Susan.
I'm Jesse Munoz.
And I'm Ryan Miller.
This is Movies I Missed 1985, Episode 2. Today we're talking about the film Desperately Seeking Susan, released March 29th, 1985, with a running time of 1 hour and 44 minutes. I want to give a warning that we will be discussing all aspects of this movie. That includes spoilers. Desperately Seeking Susan is a 1985 romantic comedy drama directed by Susan Saddleman, starring Rosanna Arquette and Madonna. The film centers on Roberta, a bored suburban housewife who becomes fascinated with the adventurous life of a free-spirited woman named Susan. After a mix-up involving personal ads and amnesia, Roberta finds herself mistaken for Susan and swept into a world of romance, crime, and eccentric characters.
Now we're getting someplace. This is my phone number. Jim must have given it to you.
It's like a deja vu.
How can you have a deja vu if you don't remember anything?
No, I mean, this is all deja vu.
This is a Port Authority locker key. All right, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna run you up to the Port Authority. Maybe what's ever in the locker will help you snap out of it. How's that?
Okay.
Okay? Let's go. Wait a minute. This isn't some sort of trick, is it?
What do you mean?
I mean, I know a little bit about you, okay? So don't even consider jerking me around because I'm not in a great mood today.
Sure, I mean, I wouldn't jerk you around. I don't even know you.
Ryan, this is your movie. You have not seen Desperately Seeking Susan. Turns out I haven't seen this either, so it makes for a good choice. What made you want to watch this one?
Nothing super specific. I just feel I've always gotten the impression that people like this movie. I'm now not sure if that's true now that I've seen it. The name has always just seemed kind of iconic and like memorable to me. And then the poster image, knowing that Madonna's one of the stars. I mean, I didn't honestly 100% know what this movie was about.
Sure.
In fact, watching it, it feels like I didn't 2% know what this movie was about, because you look at the poster and it's like these two women.
Yes.
And they're like, they look like they're best friends and they're like leaning on each other. And it looks like it's going to be just like a
buddy comedy almost.
Yeah. Girls hanging out and like being friends. Maybe something comes between them. I don't know. Turns out this movie's not at all what I ever thought it was going to be, based on nothing, because I never read a plot synopsis or anything, but it's like I wanted to watch it because I thought it was going to be a certain kind of movie, and then whether or not it's a good or bad thing, it turned out to not be what I thought it was going to be at all. So in other words, I wanted to see it because the poster looked like something I'd like, and I feel like the poster's not a very good descriptor of what this movie is.
Yeah. When you look at the poster, it feels like, well, what I thought, just based off of the poster and having no idea really what it was, other than Madonna was in it, was it like a buddy cop, not a buddy cop, buddy comedy, like maybe they get mixed up, or maybe there's like she's wild and she's straight edged, and
that's kind of what I always thought. I thought it was going to be like Madonna was like sort of what the movie is, like this super cool chick. Yeah. And then this other female character who I don't think I ever locked in that it was Rosanna Arquette, just looking at the poster over the years.
Yeah.
Was going to be like a normal girl or kind of a loser. And then they start hanging out together and having a good time, and maybe some, dramatic or bad things happen, but they'll overcome it and be friends. That's what I thought it was.
I totally thought Madonna was going to get her into trouble maybe she mixes up with the wrong people and they're going to have to escape and it's going to be fun and it's going to be funny and it's going to be this like a buddy comedy. And they're never together until the very end of the movie, which I thought was super
the poster
surprising.
misrepresents this movie terribly because Rosanna Arquette like spies on Madonna in kind of a creepy way early in the movie, but then like they literally never have a scene where they interact until the last 4 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, and it's not even really like they don't even really say much to each other.
Like when Madonna crawls, she's being held at gunpoint by Will Patton, and she like crawls through the window and mouths like "Help me," and then Rosanna Arquette smashes the glass over Will Patton's head, and that's like literally it's like the ending of the climax of the film. That's like the first time they speak.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Totally.
I don't know what the fuck they were thinking with the advertising of this movie.
I mean, it works. It like makes you want to see the movie. The two of them together on that poster, I think works.
Yeah, but it doesn't represent the movie very well.
Right. It's a bait and switch for sure. That's crazy. All right. Before we get into like the actual movie, let's talk a little bit about the cast and crew. Susan Settleman is the director. Familiar with her at all? Are you like she's
no.
Looking at her filmography. I put a couple of movies like She Devil, which I think is with Roseanne. And then The Hot Flashes. I don't know either one of those. So I put a TV show she directed, which was Sex and the City. She directed some episodes of Sex and the City, but looking at her filmography, you're like, 3 episodes, no idea who she is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even the TV that she directed, it's like Stella. I don't know what that is. The Ranch is a TV movie.
Stella. What year is Stella? Isn't that like a sketch comedy show?
Yes, it is from 2005.
Yeah,
with Michael Ian Black and Michael Showalter.
Yeah, I thought so. That was like Stella was like the name of their like comedy troupe or whatever. Like Andy Samberg and those guys are the Lonely Island. Those guys were Stella. I thought that's what that was.
She directed a couple episodes of that. So
all right.
Not really familiar with her. I mean, she's 10 movies. Smithereens, Desperately Seeking Susan was her second. Making Mr. Right, Cookie, She Devil, Confessions of a Suburban Girl, Tales of Erotica, which is like she did a segment of that. Gaudy Afternoon, Bait and Beach Club, Musical Chairs, The Hot Flashes, and Cut in Half is a short film, which is her last film credit from 2017.
I can't say for certain I've heard of any of those except for this one.
Yeah. Some of it's worked a lot, but yeah, not familiar with her at all. So that's who directed it. As far as cast goes, Rosanna Arquette is the lead as Roberta Glass. Do you know her from anything? The only thing that I can think of, you have After Hours here, but is Pulp Fiction. Like that's all I know her from, and being an Arquette. Like I know her siblings more than I know her.
Yeah, I mean, if I see her face or hear her name, the first thing that comes to mind is Pulp Fiction, which is funny because she's got such a small part in it, but it's iconic. Mm-hmm. She is like a that guy actor for me, where it's like Virginia Madsen. She's the sister of an actor who I know more than her. And she's been in a ton of things. And like the first thing that comes to mind for me is Candyman. But then I'm like, I know I've seen a dozen other things she's in, but I can't think of them. That's like a Rosanna Arquette to me. Like she's got a very recognizable face and I've probably seen 30 things she's in. But yeah, I'm not like super familiar with her.
I mean, she's got credits from 79 all the way till the current day. And it's a huge list of stuff, but most of it is probably supporting, if not less than that. You know what I mean? Like she's not a lead in a ton of things, and I thought she was fine in this. Yeah,
I had no problem with
her. Like her sibling, like Roseanne, Patricia Arquette is like obviously like a way better actress than she is, but.
Shots fired.
Easy to get overlooked when your sister is really good. Madonna is the second lead, I guess. I mean, she's on the poster, but she's not in the movie a ton either, as Susan Thomas. And then we'll talk about Madonna later, but some of the other cast. Tell me if you're familiar with any of these people. Aiden Quinn as Dez. Were you familiar with this guy?
No, not really. I feel like I know the name more than anything. And when I looked him up, I was like, okay, I do remember him in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. But like the other big stuff he's in, like Legends of the Fall, I've never seen. Practical Magic, I've never seen. He's another one where he's like done a ton of work, and I haven't crossed paths with him that much.
His face is like one of those faces like, I've seen you, I know who you are, but I couldn't name a single thing. You know what I mean? Like what he's in. He's okay. Laurie Metcalf is pretty recognizable, right?
Yeah, from Roseanne, because I used to watch that.
Yeah, she's been around for a while. Will Patton is another name that's like super recognizable, but he looks completely different than anything else that I've seen him in. The first thing that I ever saw him in was Armageddon, and then probably Remember the Titans.
I mean, he's younger in this, obviously, and his hair is a little longer, but I feel like he was very recognizable.
Super recognizable, but he just looks so different with the hair and everything. And even the way he acted was so kind of creepy.
So it's funny, like, he's another one. I've seen him in a bunch of stuff over the years, but like, for me, the main thing I always think of is Armageddon. But then it's funny, last year, first of all, last year, as we record this, the first part of Kevin Costner's alleged like 4-part movie epic Horizon came out, right? Mm-hmm. And so I got into another podcast that someone recommended me last year where the host will like watch through a director's entire filmography. And so they did a little run on Kevin Costner's directorial filmography. So I like either watched or rewatched the couple of movies Kevin Costner has directed, and through that discovered, Kevin Costner and Will Patton are friends because they're in a ton of things together. So like he's the main villain in The Postman that Kevin Costner stars in and directed. I had never seen it before, but I feel like all of a sudden last year I got a crash course in both Kevin Costner and Will Patton because of that. So
I like Will
now
Patton.
I know him as more than just the sad sack
The
from Armageddon.
Yeah. I mean, Armageddon is obviously the big one because the movie was so big, but Remember the Titans is the other one where it's like my go-to for him. I've seen that movie a million times, and I've always enjoyed him in that. But yeah,
if you glance over his IMDb, he's in a ton of stuff, and it'll be one of those
Punisher?
cases where you're like, oh, I've seen all of these, but like I don't remember him in this. I don't remember him in that.
Yeah. Do you remember him in The Punisher?
The Dolph Lundgren one?
No, he was in the Thomas Jane one.
Oh yeah. He's like one of the mini boss guys.
Yeah, he works for John Travolta or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think he's like hidden, like gay in the movie, but it's like hidden.
Yeah, I think you're right. Weirdly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We've got Mark Bloom as Gary Glass, Roberta's husband.
I thought he was super recognizable, and then I looked him up and didn't remember him from anything.
Plays like a very waspy 1980s, rich guy. Robert Joy is Jim Dandy. I thought he was like a real musician because he's like in a band or whatever. And he's dating Madonna, and he just looks like he'd be like in Talking Heads or something. He's got that look, but I didn't recognize him from anything else. You have Waterworld and Fallen.
He's got a very unique, recognizable face to me. And so when I looked him up, I was like, I'm going to scroll across the title and it's going to jump in my face. Like, this is what you know him from. And it took me a little while to realize, I think that movie for me is Fallen with Denzel Washington and John Goodman.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he's got a part in that, and I think that's the movie. I haven't seen it in forever, but I think that's the movie I mostly remember him from.
Yeah, that makes sense. What do you know about Stephen Wright?
He's got a very monotone voice, frizzy hair, and it was like in a part of the comedy scene in the 80s, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Isn't he the dude on the couch in Half Baked?
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's probably mostly what I know him from, aside from just him having this very like kind of low, boring voice. Like that's
Do you know what his credit is as in Half Baked?
Don't they just call him like the guy or the dude or something?
The guy on the couch is his actual credit. Yeah. I've never really seen any of his comedy, but he's kind of always been around. usually in the background of movies or like a character like the guy on the couch.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like that in this too. He plays a dentist, barely in the movie. We've got John Turturro in the movie playing the master of ceremonies at the Magic Club. And what's crazy about the Magic Club is you think that it's going to be like a dance club. It's just called like the Magic Club or like a, you know what I mean? Like a hip club like that. But it literally is like a magic club where people come and perform magic. I guess there's like dancing
instead of going to see bands play, you go to watch people do magic or
so weird.
Ventriloquism.
So weird. Yeah. It's just weird. A weird thing. And then Giancarlo Esposito was in it. Blink and you miss it, but
yeah, I didn't catch him.
Roberta Glass, Rosanna Arquette bumps into him when she's stalking Madonna, and he's like selling stuff. Oh, he's the guy that's like, hey, buy my hat. Put the hat on. The hat looks nice. Give me $10.
Oh, was that him?
That's him. Yep.
I didn't even recognize him.
Yeah, totally recognize him because he was in, not too long after this, was like a few years later, would be in Do the Right Thing, and he looks so much different back then than he does now. But Gus Fring was on the street trying to get them to buy a hat.
Yeah, it's funny, through like Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, between Giancarlo Esposito, what's his name, who plays Hank?
Oh, yeah.
Walter's brother-in-law, and the dude who plays Mike. All three of them are guys who, like, I never knew who they were, or they were never anything of importance to me until I watched Breaking Bad. But in the years since, I can't believe the number of movies I watch where I'm like, holy shit, there's him. Holy shit, there's Mike. Holy shit, there's Hank.
Yep.
Like, Hank has played a police officer in like 700 things. He's in Terminator 2. He's in Lethal Weapon 2. It's nuts.
Yeah. It's crazy how long they've been working, and they don't really get their like big breaks until they're like in their 50s, 60s, or 70s. It's a bit crazy.
But yeah, Giancarlo Esposito is one of those where I see him in so many things that I'm like, oh, I do like the, Leonardo DiCaprio in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, like pointing meme.
Right. That's exactly what I did when I was watching this. They're like, there he is. Gus is on the street. That's him. Yeah. That's awesome. And it was literally just like a blink and you miss it sort of thing. But that was definitely him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Roberta is this like middle-class WASP bored woman of the 80s. She's married to this rich hot tub
the hot
retailer.
Tub king of New Jersey, I think.
And they're so like upper class, 80s upper class gross people. Like I think they're playing it up, but I don't know if that's just in retrospect seeing it being played up or if that's like what people were like. I can't really tell. And she's like bored with her marriage. She's bored with her life. And the reason that the movie's called Desperately Seeking Susan, I didn't realize this, is based off of personal ads that people would put in the papers. Like it's just a thing that doesn't exist at all.
I know.
Right? Like it's such a moment in time where people, like there's a scene where they actually we see them put the ads in the paper. It's like single white female looking for rich man to whatever, that sort of thing. And people would just put it in the ads. And so it's who is it? Jim and Susan are going back and forth in their personal ads, and he's always putting Desperately Seeking Susan. And because it's in the newspaper, anybody can read it. And Rosanna Arquette is just kind of fantasizing basically about being Susan.
Yeah, she's like a hopeless romantic who's like living vicariously through this weird romance where these people like write to each other through the newspaper.
It's just a completely different world. I mean, it is 40 years ago, but it's just so different. It's all taking place in New York and New Jersey. So she sees the ad in the paper and decides to follow her. I think to what?
Yeah, she wants to see Susan. Like
is that what it is? She wants to see her?
I think she's got this idea in her head of like, oh, Susan is like this cool person who like goes and travels around, and then whenever she's back in town, they like write to each other and meet up. And I get the impression that she just like wants to see them. She wants to like be in their presence and like finally get eyes on this person she's fantasized about being through the newspaper. That's the impression I got.
So she does that, and she follows Susan into the store where Susan ends up trading her very cool jacket for some boots.
That apparently used to belong to Jimi Hendrix.
Right. And so Rosanna Arquette buys that jacket. It turns out in the jacket is a key to a locker in the Port Authority where this is where it gets crazy.
This movie is so fucking complicated. Like more complicated than I ever would have thought it could have been. It is such a twisting, turning ball of wax. It's just, it's insane how complicated this movie is.
I feel like what I just described of Roberta following Susan is a pretty like interesting basic idea set up for a movie, right? Like all of that's kind of interesting.
And then it gets fucking ridiculous.
Right. So in the beginning of the movie, Madonna is like, I don't know if she's a call girl or if she just sleeps around. Is she a hooker?
She I don't think so. I think that she just like is a free spirit, doesn't have a residence, lives out of a suitcase basically, and just like, you know, will spend time with a guy until she gets bored with him and then come back to her like semi-reliable band member lover
right,
who writes to her through the newspaper because nobody has a fucking telephone.
Yeah. There's no cell phones for sure, or even pagers at this point.
No internet.
So we see her, she's with some guy in a hotel. He's out for the count. It's in the morning or something. And she decides to go through his stuff. And he's got what looks like exotic earrings. So she just takes them, right?
Yeah.
And turns out those
and she's
earrings,
just like done with him. So she's just going to like leave him like, we had our fun, now goodbye.
Yeah. So she basically steals some of his stuff and then takes off. But
steals some silverware from the hotel room.
Right. It's like, it feels like it's harmless. She's not like robbing him. She's just taking a couple of things. Turns out
some cash out of his wallet. She does rob him, let's be honest.
Okay, so maybe she does. Okay, whatever. So she takes some of the stuff. Turns out those are like some super expensive, I don't know what, they're not earrings, right?
They're
they earrings?
ancient Egyptian artifact earrings that were stolen from a museum by this guy she was sleeping with and the dude's partner, Will Patton.
Right. But Will Patton ends up killing his partner, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah, because I think he has the earrings and Will Patton probably went to the room and was like, all right, give me the earrings. We got to pawn these and make our money. And then the guy doesn't have them. So Will Patton's a psychopath and kills him. That's my assumption. We don't see it happen.
We just know that he's dead. And that Will Patton
we read in the newspaper that he like fell out of a like whatever story window in a hotel and died.
And then now Will Patton is looking for those earrings. And he knows or assumes that Susan has them. Now, here's my question, Ryan. This is the biggest question that I need answered. How the hell does he know that she's Susan that she's desperately seeking Susan? How does Will Patton know that?
I don't know. It never crossed my mind.
How does he find her in New York?
There's got to be an explanation for this.
How does he find her? Because she's in New Jersey, right? I think. No, wait. She must be in New York. No,
they're in New Jersey when the dude falls out of the window, and then she comes back to New York because that's where her boyfriend or whatever.
How does Will Patton find Madonna?
Well,
because my question is this specifically because Susan puts the ad in the paper, stranger, right? She's like, she found the jacket, she found the key, she wants to give the key back to Susan, so she puts out an ad. Stranger seeking Susan, I got your key or whatever, right? She puts that in the personals. So they're going to go to wherever
this is all,
are.
I'm sure, super confusing for people who haven't seen the movie. But like Jesse said before, Rosanna Arquette is following Madonna around, kind of creepy, just like spying on her, wanting to like get her vibe. Madonna goes into this clothing store, trades her coat for a pair of boots. Yes. And then Rosanna Arquette, she just wants the jacket now because it belonged to this super cool person she likes. So she buys the jacket, finds the key in the pocket, and then realizes that Madonna's character must need the key. So she places an ad in the paper, like from stranger to Susan, meet me here regarding key. And then, of course, Susan sees that. Susan ends up getting arrested because since her bag is locked up in the locker she can't get into because she's missing the key. She doesn't have any money, so she tries to stiff a cab driver. So then she gets arrested. So she doesn't make the meeting. Man, how does he know that she's Susan, though?
So we got the setup, right? We know how Susan and Roberta are going to meet up. Everything makes sense as far as those two go. How does Will Patton know that Susan is going to be there? He doesn't know her name is Susan, right? And even if he did, maybe he got the information from the guy that he killed, right? Oh, I met this girl, Susan, and she must have it. Right?
That might just be it. I mean, because we never see the scene where he gets killed.
Let's say that Will Patton gets the information that way. How in the hell does he know that it's her from Susan from this specific newspaper in New York, not New Jersey, because they were in Atlantic City? Explain that. I need to know.
So when the scene where she steals the earrings and leaves the guy in the hotel room, when she passes Will Patton in the hallway, he sees Susan.
Yes.
Like drop her stuff enough to like recognize her jacket and like that she's blonde.
Yes.
But in earlier in that scene, Madonna was like awake and the guy was asleep in bed and she's like taking pictures with a Polaroid. Did she took a picture of him and left it with him? I don't know. I can't think of.
I just want to know
like,
how
is it possible
Will
that he just happened to be there and saw a girl wearing the jacket
got
and figured
to where
out
they're going to go. I need to know how Will got there.
Yeah,
that's
I don't
all
know.
I need to
remember.
know.
They may explain it in the movie, but if so, I can't remember.
There is no explanation. He just shows up. So they meet.
But so if you thought everything we've described so far is already pretty ridiculous. Well, the next thing that happens is Will Patton is trying to he basically trying to kidnap Roberta
because he
who is wearing Susan's jacket.
Yes.
And then she freaks out and falls down and hits her head on a light pole. Her pocketbook, which happens to be cylindrical, rolls down the sidewalk into the ocean.
Yes.
And then she wakes up and she's fucking an amnesiac and has lost her memory. Like one of the dumbest cliches in all of film. And so since Susan is in prison, here's another question I have, right? So what newspaper is it that they're leaving each other these messages in? It's somewhere in New York, right? Like New York City newspaper.
Sure.
Like the dude who's the boyfriend who's like in another state or something, or were they going to Canada or something? They were going to play
somewhere. Yeah, to play a gig. They're gone.
They were going to play a gig, and then he just like has a copy of the newspaper to see her ad in it. Where did he get that newspaper? And then he calls his friend Dez, played by Aiden Quinn, and is like, "Hey, Dez, Susan, somebody who calls themselves Stranger, left Susan a note in the newspaper of a time to meet. I'm at this gig, so I can't come. Can you go and at the time and place and find Susan to make sure she's all right?" Meanwhile, Dez, who's apparently Jim's best friend, has never met his girlfriend. So he goes to meet Susan, but Susan already got arrested for stiffing the cab driver. So he sees Rosanna Arquette, Roberta, wearing the jacket that is described to him with like this Egyptian thing on the back, and assumes that she's Susan. And since Roberta has lost her memory and doesn't have any ID, she thinks she's Susan as well. It's fucking ridiculous.
I really wish they didn't do the amnesia thing, man.
Oh, I hate the amnesia thing. It's the only way the movie works the way they want it to, but amnesia is such a troublesome, like, dumb cliche.
I swear, give us like 2 hours in a room to think up some ideas, and we'll come up with a better way to get her and Des together. I just feel like amnesia was the worst. And it's already like everything that we've just described is the first 30 minutes of the movie is so convoluted. It's ridiculous. Like, why couldn't it just be mistaken identity, or like Susan has a life that Roberta kind of wants and Roberta has a life that Susan kind of wants, and so they kind of swap or something? You know what I mean? There's like a million different ways to like do this without all of the convoluted ways to get everything together. And then you throw in the fact that someone's chasing them to get these ancient
Egyptian earrings. And because Madonna is like this style icon, she only puts on one of the earrings. So she has one, and then the other one's in the luggage that is in the locker at the Port Authority. And so when Des finds Roberta, who isn't sure who she is. They find the key in her pocket. He immediately knows, because he lives in New York, that it's a Port Authority key. So he drives her to the locker. They open it up, and then now she's got all of Susan's stuff. And she's got the other earrings. So now it's like this guy has to track down two women who look exactly the same and each have one of the earrings. It's like maddeningly complicated.
It's so crazy. So now you have her husband who's looking for her because she's missing, because she goes with Des. She doesn't know who she is and starts to live the life of Susan. She gets a job at the Magic Club, coincidentally.
Yeah, it's like you can't remember who you are, and then day one you go and get a job. But then I got to tell you, this is jumping ahead to the end. Something that bothers me even more than that. So she gets a job at the Magic Club, right?
Yeah.
And because she's lost her memory, okay, she doesn't know who she is. She doesn't know if she has a job. She needs some cash. Okay, so she takes this job as like a magician's assistant. By the next day, when it would be her second shift, she has gotten her memory back and she knows that she's Roberta.
Goes back to the job?
Maybe based on all of these things that have happened to her, is in love with Des and doesn't want to go back to her husband. But yeah, she goes back for her second shift at the fucking magic show. What? And she only does because that's where everything's going to happen and meet up at the end in the Magic Club. But like, you, Jesse, like, lose your memory.
Right.
You happen to take a job at a fucking magic show.
The next day.
Yeah. And then in the ensuing 24 hours, you get conked on the head again. And now you remember you are Jesse. You go back to that fucking job? Like, you feel obligated? I got to go back and work a shift at the fucking magic place that I took a job at when I didn't know who I was? Like, that makes no fucking sense.
No. It's so crazy. The writing is just so convoluted. It's bad. The scene where Jim comes back to confront Des, or to like, I think doesn't Des call Jim and say like, no. Jim just shows up and he
gets a message from him on his answering machine, but like his
ex-girlfriend
came and took all his shit.
Like
yeah. But like he had gotten a message on the answering machine, but he missed the call. And then the next time he sees Jim, he just like shows up and sneaks into his apartment. He doesn't knock.
Yeah. And so he whacks him on the head. Roberta just hightails it for whatever reason.
She hears them talking about her and she just like decides to leave.
Yeah. And then their entire conversation is so poorly written and so poorly acted. I just couldn't help, like, it was like, to me, comedically bad. And maybe it's not their fault. Maybe it's just the writing, but it's just like, what's up, dude? I'm like here. And he's like shirtless and like, oh, you're just going to be with her? Huh? I see how it is. Well, you know, Susan. Well, I don't know Susan. You know, Susan. And it's just so bad. It's just so bad. I just couldn't get over it.
And at some point, Roberta she's running from Will Patton. And just because she's like wearing a magician's assistant outfit in the streets of New York, when the cops find her laying on the ground, they assume she's a prostitute. So they arrest her. And then even though I think she had like, I don't even think her and Des had slept together yet, but they'd spent like part of a day together and she's like completely flighty because she has no memory. And he'd never met the person he thinks she is anyway. He goes and pays $200 to get her out on bail, and coincidentally the police chief like recognized a photo of her and calls Roberta's husband to come down, but he just misses him. And then somehow he meets Madonna. I don't remember how that happens. And then she's hanging out at his house eating like cheese puffs,
right,
and like going through all of his wife's clothes, and he just like lends her his car. It makes no sense.
Yeah, Madonna like reads her diary, reads Roberta's diary, and like figures the entire story out and explains it to the husband. She's like, "Oh, you don't know your wife's is sad and she wants to live my life.
She wants to be me." Yeah.
And this is what's going on. It's just so convoluted.
I mean,
everything is just super
it's
convoluted.
funny. Like, I'm halfway through the movie. It's like super complicated. It's not what I thought it was going to be at all. And not to say that like the movie couldn't be enjoyable just for what it is, but I found that I was like not having a lot of fun with it because I was disappointed that it wasn't the simple like girls hanging out like comedy drama I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Is that weird?
There's no comedy. There's no comedy. I found I always thought there was going to be funny. There's no comedy, right? Is there? Well, did you laugh? I mean, I might have laughed at the movie, but I never laughed with the movie.
It's not a straight up drama, but it's definitely supposed to be humorous. If for no other reason, then it's like a comedy of errors because of how fucking preposterous everything is.
Right. That's what I mean by laughing at the movie more than laughing with the movie. Like there was just, I don't know, man. Like I just couldn't make heads or tails of what I was watching and what it was supposed to be. And was it, is this supposed to be funny? Is this supposed to be dramatic? Is it supposed to, but when you have like amnesia, you lose your like sense of like realism. And I think there's things that it's just confused me because there's a very real world aspect of the way that the movie's shot and the look of it, being on the streets of New York that I completely love. The movie looks cool. Yeah,
for sure.
I love all
I will tell you the things
aesthetics.
I will tell you the things in the movie that I like. I like the style of like the yuppie house that Roberta and her husband live in, and like his like, shitty 80s sports car. I like all of that stuff and the commentary on like, being a yuppie, a rich young guy in the 80s. I like Madonna's ridiculous like manic pixie dream girl outfits and everything, and just like her kind of flighty attitude. I like
Madonna in this. I thought she was good. I mean,
there's not a lot riding on her character because she just has to be cool. Like she doesn't have to do anything important.
Yeah.
I love like all the New York City photography and the locations. And there's like a couple parts early on when it's like scenes taking place at dawn, and it's like all the lights of the city haven't turned off yet, but the sun's starting to come up. And it's like back in the day when ambient lights were like a greenish blue and there's like smog in the air, and it just looks fucking amazing. I love that. Yep. Some of the music in the movie. And then the other stuff that I honestly, genuinely really like, aside from the fact that she can't remember who she is all the relationship stuff between Roberta and Des.
Yeah.
Like, MVP of the movie for me is Des, Aiden Quinn's character. I just thought he was really good. And as I'm watching it, I'm like, where has this guy been all my life? He's like great in this. I love the character he's playing. And then it's funny, like after I watched the movie, I went on Letterboxd and I was just like skimming to see what other people thought because I was so confused on my own feelings of the movie.
Yes.
And it's funny how many like one sentence reviews there are that are just like young Aiden Quinn just like sitting in a hammock on the roof of a shitty building in New York caressing a cat is my vibe. Or like young Aiden Quinn petting a cat in a hammock, where have you been all my life? It's so funny to see all the people's reactions, but it's like, no homo scenes. But I thought he was great.
Yeah the cat was great too, man. The way he was able to like, that cat just stayed there with him as he's like petting him and picking him up and like smothering him, like as they're like,
it's a good actor him. Cat.
Yeah, that cat was really, really good. Stand up. The stand up for me
take
was
out all the other like complicated, ridiculous stuff and just the straight up like
relationship,
mid 80s romance between this dude who's a projectionist at a theater that shows like shitty old movies and like sleeps on a mattress on the floor, and Roberta. Like that stuff I liked.
Yep. I agree with that. But there's not enough of it in the movie.
No, that's far from the focus of the movie. It's like 20 minutes of the whole film. Which, by the way, it's an hour and 44 minutes.
Yes.
And it felt like it was 2.5 hours because it's just, you can never get a sense of how close you are to the end because they keep adding elements. And like every time you think you know where it's going, it takes a wild turn somewhere else.
Yeah. The MVP for me, and maybe MVP is a strong word, but the person that I liked a lot was Laurie Metcalf. I thought she was actually funny in the movie. I thought she brought the humor.
It feels like she is the primary source of humor. Yeah, just being like
I read
severe with her brother and about everything, and just like criticizing everyone and yelling all the time.
I read that most prostitutes are lesbians. Is she a lesbian? That sort of thing. I thought was really good. She was just funny. She played it very straight. I thought she was really, really good.
I think the real MVP for me isn't even a person. It's when Madonna is at Roberta's house with her husband, and I think they were smoking weed, and they're like laying on the couch, and next to them it looks like it must be like a coffee table or a little island next to the couch, and built into the surface of the coffee table or whatever is like, it's like a Marvel top counter like surface, and there's like a built-in section with like 3 spots for like snacks, and they were filled with, one of them had pretzels, the other one had like maybe M&Ms, and there was something else, and I was just like, where do you get a fucking counter like this to go in your living room? That's amazing. It's got a snack thing built in.
He's rich, man. He's rich.
Yeah.
I really liked when after she had followed Susan and bought the coat, she comes home to make dinner. She goes to the counter, immediately turns on her 1980s television with the VCR next to it, watches Julia Childs and starts cracking eggs. I don't know. Something about that got me going. I thought that was awesome. And
it's not like she pressed play on the VCR. So like she got home and turned on the TV just in time to start like cooking along with the show and already had the ingredients ready to go.
Yep. Just pulls the eggs out, starts cracking them. I don't know. Maybe she was making a cake or something. I can't remember, but it was good. There's aspects of it. Mostly the fact that it was just made in 1985 are the things that I like.
Honestly, same for me.
Yeah.
Like it's like an easy win, and it's like the movie isn't getting a ton of credit from me for it, but it's the kind of film where like if you could just put it on mute and have it on in the background with like, you know, some Phil Collins playing from the 80s or whatever, like that's a good time while you're doing something else. Look up every now and then and just see like a cool cityscape and Madonna running around in like a ridiculous outfit.
Yeah, I did think it was interesting that in the movie she goes to a club, Madonna, and her song is playing on the jukebox or in the I thought that was a little crazy. They play it again at the end, but that's like a credit song. But the fact that she's in the world of Madonna as Madonna, I thought that was interesting. All right, let's get to the box office. The budget of this was $5 million. It ended up grossing.
Just imagine how much it would cost to shoot a film in one location in New York City like this nowadays.
I know. I don't think you could even. That's crazy.
I mean, a fair amount of it could have been like Vancouver or something, but like
there's a lot of New York. There's a lot. Yeah. It ended up grossing 27.3 million worldwide. Wikipedia says 99.3. But I can't find evidence of that number anywhere. And if it grows 99.3, like what Wikipedia said, it would be like one of the highest grossing movies of the year. And I mean, that's true. More
than, what's it called? Spies Like Us made that we talked last week was the number 10 movie of the year.
Yeah. So 27.3 worldwide is the number I'm going to go with because I think that's correct. That's from Box Office Mojo.
I mean, that's a 500% return on investment, even though it's not a huge number.
500? No, it's 5 times.
It cost $5 million. Yeah.
Not 500. Close though.
Right. Numbers, math. Hey, Wikipedia says 99.3. All right, so I'm no better off than them.
Debuted in 260 theaters on March 29th and grossed $1.5 million on its first weekend at number 14, which is crazy to think it made that much money. In only 260 theaters. It made $1.6 million in week 2 in 320 theaters, and then jumping 63%, grossing $2.6 in week 3 in 769 theaters, ranking number 5 in the box office behind Police Academy 2, Mask, Cat's Eye, and Lady Hawk. So expanded it week 4 to 1,100 theaters, grossing another $2.6 million. But the most it made was in week 3 in 769 theaters, and then it matched that total in 1,100 theaters. Starting in week 6, it was slowly removed from theaters until it completed its theatrical run in mid-June. So ran from March to middle of June, and I don't think they were disappointed with 27.3 million.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta go back and defend myself because now I'm thinking about it. I was right, 500%. Because if it made 100% of its money back, it would have made $5 million. So 500% of its money back would be $25 million.
Okay, so maybe
I was right.
Maybe we're just both.
I know math.
Yeah, maybe I'm bad at math. What would you?
One of us is bad as math.
Yeah, you're bad. Reviews. What would you think after watching it? And I don't think you've seen this yet. What do you think the Rotten Tomato number would be for this movie?
I'll admit I just saw it, but I wouldn't expect it to be that high.
86%. 86% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is really crazy.
All I can say is I don't have a real clear concept of how big Madonna was at the time, what point in her career this would have been. That might have been just enough. Well, we'll get to that. Box office wise,
she just popped off. So that single that was in the movie just was released like right before the movie came out. So when they were filming the movie, people didn't really know who she was. And the single came out while they were filming it, and she got big. So they had to stop shooting her out in New York. So that's kind of where it was.
Like this number, 86% on Rotten Tomatoes, that's like critic score, fan score?
That's critic score.
Critic score?
Yeah.
Like I could believe fan score if people had like fond memories of this. And it's not like a terrible movie. I'll admit part of my problem is just it's so far from what I thought it was going to be. I do think it's like problematic in how complicated it is. But like I could definitely see people watching this back in the 80s and having a fondness for it ever since or whatever. But 86% like critics?
Yeah.
It's not that like good, quote unquote, of a movie. Like I have no problem with people liking it, but
well, let's read some. So I actually had to pull a bunch from Roger Ebert's because I thought some of his takes were pretty funny. So Roger Ebert gave it 3 out of 4 stars and said, "Desperately Seeking Susan does not move with the self-confidence that its complicated plot requires. But it has its moments, and many of them involve the different kinds of special appeal that Arquette and Madonna are able to generate. They are very particular individuals, and in a dizzying plot, they somehow succeed in creating specific, interesting characters." That's the first part of the review. Then, way down in the review, because I actually read the whole thing, "I love to read the personals on the classified page, not because I'm looking for the perfect mate, but because I'm a romantic and perhaps a bit of a voyeur. I'm intrigued by the thought of all those strangers going out on dates with each other. I'm also a little frustrated by the time-honored abbreviation used in the personals. How can a complex and interesting human being be compressed in SWM or DBF? I squint, trying to read between the lines. Does full-figured mean she's voluptuous or a candidate for the fat farm?" It's a crazy time, man. 80s were a crazy time.
So what you're telling me is Roger Ebert definitely read Penthouse Forum back in the day, right?
Totally. Look at this. He admitted in his review of Desperately Seeking Susan that he loves to read the personals.
And imagine how voluptuous the women are.
Yeah. He just thinks, is she fat or is she hot? I don't know. I can't tell. But Roger Ebert
liked it because he has a very specific, peculiar fandom of personal ads that this movie is the one film in history to ever like capitalize upon.
Yeah. I think he likes, he says the complicated plot, it talks about the complicated plot, but the character, he's drawn to the characters. And I think there's an argument to be made for the characters being interesting and the plot just being overwhelming and complicated. So,
yeah.
David Deneby of New York Magazine said, "Madonna swinging her big shoulders and sighting the male actors down her nose is also a commanding sexual presence in Desperately Seeking Susan. A few scenes are very funny, but the picture would have worked much better if Settleman had thrown away half the dialogue and built some momentum." This is one of the few negative reviews, I think, that I found.
I'm hung up on the big shoulders thing. Is that literal or metaphorical? Like big shoulders,
both?
like she's a big star?
Maybe both. I don't know. What's cool about this is you can actually find this New York Magazine review online. You can flip through the actual old 1985 New York Magazine. It's pretty awesome. So
was there a photo included to show the size of Madonna's shoulders?
No, there was no photo, unfortunately. Kirk Ellis from The Hollywood Reporter wrote, "Desperately Seeking Susan could well usher in a whole new subgenre, new wave screwball comedy. This Orion release takes nearly half its length to find its madcap comic center, but an attractive, energetic young cast and some witty off-center visual humor make the resultant laughs more than worth the wait." I don't know. I get the new wave screwball thing idea, but comedy's a loose term for me. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I definitely think it's supposed to be funny.
It's supposed to be funny.
Yeah.
But did it work as a comedy? I don't know.
Like, I think potentially one of the strengths of it is while it is supposed to be funny, if it's not a laugh out loud riot, like it's got other things going for it, like a kind of neat premise with the whole like voyeuristic thing, and then like some, in my opinion, legitimately good dramatic stuff with Roberta and Dez. it's just that fucking the conceit of the movie is just the problem. It's so all over the place.
It is so all over the place, man. It just needed to be simplified. Simplify. All right. Finally, Kevin Thomas of the Los Angeles Times wrote, Desperately Seeking Susan, accurately rated PG-13, I don't know why he wrote that, is a lark of exhilarating celebration of people who have the good sense to be in touch with themselves and with each other. Oh, I guess, Kevin. I don't know about that.
Let me pitch you something. I'm sitting here, I'm thinking about it. We're talking about how this movie is so complicated and it's like that's its big problem, but we like some of the cast and the characters and all. What if this was the premise of the movie? Same situation with Madonna and is it Jim, the boyfriend?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where they're writing each other back and forth. Roberta is similarly unhappy with her like kind of boring marriage. She goes to follow around the Madonna character, and somehow like Des, like in the movie, has never met Susan himself. So because Roberta is so like into this romance, she follows the Madonna character and then ends up meeting Des, thinking he's like the romantic guy that writes to Madonna. And Des also, since he's never met the Madonna character, thinks he's meeting her. And so the two of them think that they're like having an affair, like because he thinks that she's Madonna, she thinks that he's the other guy, when in fact they're not. They're just having this romantic relationship. Then it's not as weirdly convoluted with like the whole like amnesia, mistaken identity thing. So when they find out, like he's like, oh man, I'm cheating on my best friend with his girl. But then when he finds out he's not, he really didn't do anything wrong. And it's like, okay, now they have a relationship that's not like built on amnesia. Because at the end of the movie, as it exists now, like her and Roberta and Des had a relationship while she didn't know who she was and he didn't know who she was for 24 hours, and she's leaving her husband for him. Like, it's a little bit hard to believe, but if they were both themselves and had a relationship just thinking that they were cheating on these other people, but they didn't, it's like you get rid of all of the fucking Egyptian earrings and like, memory loss and everything. And it's more of like a kind of down to earth, dramatic, romantic movie.
Yeah.
I think that would be a better film.
I agree. Yeah, I think getting rid of the Egyptian earrings is step one, right? You don't need, I like Will Patton in the movie. I think he's creepy and I think he does a good job of what he's doing.
Completely unnecessary though.
Totally unnecessary. You just don't need it. Like, it's just
for the movie to end with him holding Madonna at gunpoint and trying to escape the shitty magic club is such a lame ending.
My question then would be, yes, I agree. I think your premise is 1,000 times better. I think it simplifies, it gets rid of the amnesia. How do you involve Madonna though? Like, how do you does Madonna find out and help her or something? What I want is more Roberta and Susan together. I want them to have scenes together.
Well, okay. Well, how about this? Add into my premise. Roberta has like this infatuation with Madonna. And so she follows her around and like introduces herself. And like, maybe she doesn't say, I know who you are because of the newspaper, tries to pretend like she bumped into her to meet her. And it's like, there's a little bit of a sham friendship there where Madonna doesn't know that Roberta's like mildly a stalker.
And pretending to be her, basically.
Like, yeah, but so like during the day, the two of them are hanging out and she's totally like leeching off of the Madonna vibes. But then in my version, Roberta thinks that Des is Madonna's boyfriend. So it's like she's met this new girl who she's like infatuated with, but then she falls in love with the guy she thinks Madonna's dating. So she's trying to keep Des a secret from Madonna. And that's why Des and Madonna never meet. So they don't know who one another is. I think that works.
Yeah. I'm with you, man. I want to see that movie.
So it's like she's trying to be this person she thinks is so cool and steal her boyfriend because she's also infatuated with him, but then like ends up having an actual meaningful relationship with Des. And it turns out at the end, it's no harm, no foul because they weren't really cheating in the first place.
Yeah.
And there's no Egyptian earrings and memory loss.
Yeah.
And you still have the, like, she's leaving her yuppie boyfriend or yuppie husband and all. Like, that could still be an element of it.
Is to get her to be comfortable with herself and find real love, right? Like, her husband doesn't love her. He's cheating on her. We know that. He admits to it.
And she's kind of bored with her own life, wants to be this other person, maybe is only appealing to Des at first because he's heard about, like, how free-spirited and cool Madonna is, and then when he thinks that she's Madonna, that's why he's, like, attracted to her. And
yeah, I'm with that.
I think I just wrote, like, a way better 80s movie.
Yeah, and what makes me mad is I had to watch this version of it. I want that version, Ryan. I want the one where because it has all of the good stuff from this movie, right? Like, there is stuff that you could take away from this movie that is good. Like, the cast is good. The cast is good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Madonna is good in what she does in this movie. So is Arquette. She's good. You talked about Aiden. They're good. It's just everything around it. The stuff that just overcomplicates it does not need to be a part of it. So yeah, I'm with you. Good job.
Thanks.
All right. Let's get the awards. It actually got nominated and won a couple awards, both for Rosanna Arquette. She was nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Actress in a Comedy or Musical. She didn't win. And then she won a BAFTA, though, for Best Actress in a Supporting Role, which is the British Academy Awards. So
hold on. The BAFTAs, I thought that was specifically for British film and all. No, it's just for anything.
Yeah, I guess so. I always thought the BAFTAs were British films too. Maybe I'm gonna look this up really quick.
I mean, like the Oscars, you know, it's the biggest, like, film, you know, culture in the world is from Hollywood and the United States. Like, we have more movies than, like, several other countries combined. So it only makes sense that, like, I think that, I mean, we have a foreign film category, but I think foreign films can be nominated for Best Picture. It's just rare because most of the movies that come out are American films. So I wonder, is with the BAFTAs, I was just assumed since they have to specify it's the British, like, I don't know what AFTA stands for, but it's, you have it written here, the British Academy of Film Awards.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to see it's not like the Oscars are called the American Academy Awards.
Right.
It's not called the AAA. Maybe it should be.
Yeah. It's just, okay. So in 1985, she was up against Judi Dench in Weatherby, Angelica Houston for Priz's Honor, and Tracy Ullman for Plenty. So I guess it's just any movie.
So it's just
the British version.
They wanted to have their own awards.
So this year's BAFTAs has Jamie Lee Curtis from The Last Showgirl, Selena Gomez from your favorite movie of 2024, Amelia Perez, Ariana Grande from Wicked, Felicity Jones from The Brutalist, Isabella Rossellini from Conclave, and Zoe Saldana from, again, your favorite movie, Amelia Perez. So yeah, it's just any movie.
Okay.
I guess. Yeah.
It is just weird to me that
there's
it has to
Academy
have
Awards and
British in the title.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes it sound like it's specific to their films.
Yeah,
but I guess not.
So Rosanna Arquette was nominated and won an award for that. So that's interesting. As far as cultural impact, this was Madonna's first film role. This movie inspired with Madonna in a lot of 80s fashion.
Not surprising.
Yeah. And then in 2023, the Library of Congress deemed the films culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant and selected it for preservation
really?
in the National Film Registry. So,
wow.
Yeah.
That's a little surprising. I don't know. I maybe we just had like a weird experience with this, and most people love this movie.
I think in the 80s it had like a real cult following. I don't think it was like super
I can understand
popular.
that, but like, what year did the Library of Congress put this in the vault? Like
2023, so just 2 years ago.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, the title of the movie and maybe the poster seem like this like classic thing to me, like, oh, Desperately Seeking Susan, that's a movie that is worth tracking down. Like, I don't know if that's just something in my head, but I wonder like how many people are still like rah, rah, Desperately Seeking Susan is a great movie everyone needs to see. I don't know. A little weird to me.
I don't know either, but it's 83% or whatever I said on Rotten Tomatoes, so the critics liked it. It did okay for its budget theatrically. It didn't, break any records or anything, but it did well.
But it did make 500% of its budget back.
Yes. All right. Let's see. Madonna recorded a song for the movie titled Desperately Seeking Susan. It ended up not being used in the film. And a demo she just finished, Into the Groove, was used instead. I think we hear that once or twice in the movie. I can't remember what the other song was. Yep. And then it also had an alternate ending included on the DVD in which Susan and Roberta are invited to Egypt after helping return the earrings. They're depicted next to the pyramids on camels. Settleman cut the scene, saying it was unnecessary, and audiences at test screenings thought the film should have ended much earlier. Anyways, so the movie does end with I
actually have the Blu-ray from Kino Lorber, and I watched that alternate ending.
Oh, really? How much longer
is it? It's not that much longer.
Because they do go to Egypt. We see it on the newspaper, right? Like they go and they're heroes. We return the earrings. Yeah.
So the alternate ending, it's like two changes. So if it the alternate ending, when you watch it on the Blu-ray, it starts with Will Patton getting knocked over the head with the glass bottle, and then it cuts to Roberta's husband. I forget if it's in the actual movie or not, but he says to Roberta, I'm going to go outside and I'm going to wait 5 minutes and then I'm leaving, because she's telling him, I'm not coming home with you. And then it cuts to him outside, and we find out he's been waiting there an hour, and Laurie Metcalf and Stephen Wright are sitting in the car, and she's like, this is ridiculous. Come on or we're leaving you. And they leave him behind. And then it cuts to them accepting the award or whatever and the newspaper. And then it cuts to Egypt. It just smash cuts to Egypt, sands. I don't even think you see pyramids. And Roberta's riding on a camel, and she goes Susan, isn't this great? And then the camera pans over to Madonna on a camel. And then you just the camera pans and follows these camels as they walk into the distance, presumably as the credits would roll. And that's it. It's that's not much of a change.
So weird, though. It's weird that they actually filmed all that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't in Egypt. I'm sure they just filmed in the desert or something, or on a soundstage. But
yeah, for sure. Last note I've got was the film was developed into a London stage musical in 2007. There you go.
And critics called it the most complicated musical ever put on.
Maybe the stage play is less convoluted. Maybe they got rid of all the amnesia stuff and the Egyptian earrings. Who knows?
I don't know. I don't know if you can call it Desperately Seeking Susan if there's no memory loss.
Yeah. Oh, man. Did you know going in Desperately Seeking Susan was referring to a wanted or a personal ad?
I can't say that I did. No.
I didn't either. I didn't even think of that, honestly. So,
I mean, what I said earlier is basically what I thought the movie was. I thought it was kind of like a normie wants to hang out with this cool girl, and then maybe something dramatic and sad happens, and then everything works out in the end. That's all I really thought. But again, based on the poster, I thought it was going to be the two of them hanging out most of the movie.
Yeah. I think we were really robbed by them not really sharing any scenes together. I think that was the big robbery here.
Yeah.
I wanted them together.
Yeah, more Aiden and his cat would have been nice too.
Sure. Cat was good, man. Cat was a really good actor. All right. The question is, did you miss it? Ryan, did you miss Desperately Seeking Susan?
I didn't hate this movie, but no, I don't think I did. I think it's fine.
I wish it was the movie you described. I would have missed that movie. I like that idea. I like getting rid of all of the overcomplicated garbage. And I want to like it. I want to say that I missed it. And honestly, I just thought, what is the entire time? I'm like, what is going on here? What is this? Similar to how we reviewed Spies Like Us, the comedy doesn't work. And if the comedy doesn't work, the story better work. And the story didn't work, and the comedy didn't work. And it's just got the characters. It's just not enough. I'm sorry. I'm going to say no.
I mean, apparently it was for most critics. Like, it sounds like people were just charmed by all the characters and didn't care how nonsensical the plot was. I just, like, I don't know how. I think when she hit her head and I was like, oh my God, she's going to have amnesia, I was just like, who ever thought this movie was this ludicrous?
Yeah.
No part of me expected that.
Ryan, not only did she get amnesia, but her handbag fell into the water.
I know, rolled down the fucking pier or whatever.
Right.
I feel like it would be hard to think of a movie with a plot this marred by complexity. Like, I know that there's still people who like watch Pulp Fiction are confused and like, why isn't it in chronological order? Like, why doesn't it all make sense or whatever? But I feel like this movie like has one of the most complex plots I have ever witnessed in a movie, and it's like a lighthearted comedy. It's weird.
That's the thing is it's not time travel. Like, it's not sci-fi. It's not.
Yeah, it's like this and Inception.
Yeah. It's like Tenet, right? Like, I was like, man, Tenet is hard to pay attention and what is going on. Right up there with Desperately Seeking Susan. I just didn't too complicated.
Yeah, I watched Tenet and I'm like, I'm not 100% sure any of this makes any sense. And I feel like it's the same way with this.
Who would have thought Desperately Seeking Susan is the Tenet of 1985? Never would have guessed that at all. So, all right, let's close the book on this one. All right, that's going to do it for this episode. Come back next week when we watch Pritzi's Honor. Pritzi's Honor. I'm never going to be able to say this right. Pritzi's Honor. We're going to watch Pritzi's Honor. Pritzi's Honor?
I know nothing about the movie, including how to pronounce it, but I've always heard it pronounced Pritzi's Honor.
Pritzi's Honor. That's Pritzi's Honor.
Think of it in your mind. Pritzy. Pritzy. That's how...
Pritzy. Oh, there's like a T in it.
Well,
like a T sound.
A T sound.
Pritzy's
like
Honor.
when you say pizza, it kind of sounds like you say the name
Pizza.
Pete with Z on the end. Pizza.
Pritzy's Honor. Okay, we're gonna watch Pritzy's Honor. Well, hopefully we find out how to pronounce of the episode.
I mean, presuming that Pritzy is the name of a character in the movie, hopefully we will hear it enough times over the course of the film that we'll get a handle on it, but no promises.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed. All right. Come back next week for that. Until then, Jesse Munoz.
Ryan Miller.
Come back next week for Pritzy's Honor.
I like the last time you said it there. It's like you didn't even want to say it. You're like, come back next week for that. You're afraid to say it.